I'm ranking every Big Ten team best to worst 1 through 18 tier list style. You can take a look on the screen to see the tiers, and you might be surprised by some of the things I have to say, especially for where I'm going to put Illinois. You might not like that, so I'm going to have some hot takes, some bold takes. There's no bias here, there's no fake media hype. I'm just being honest with my own opinions, tier list style rankings. So be sure to subscribe if you want more, and let's get into it. So we're going to go ahead and get started here with our Big Ten rankings. I'm putting Ohio State at the top. They are contenders. And what I mean by contenders here, because this is going to be a more exclusive tier compared to the others, these are teams that I would pick to win the conference. I could see it. I would be able to make the selection saying this team could win the conference, and I would be confident in that. Ohio State is the most likely team to do this. And a lot of people have been saying, they're going to regress because they have a new quarterback and blah, blah, blah. That's a concern. Well, that's the case for most of the top teams. They're bringing in new quarterbacks. It's just a matter of guessing which ones are going to be the most productive. And I think Julian Sayin is probably going to be able to match what Will Howard did for Ohio State last year. I wouldn't be surprised. And he's got Jeremiah Smith to throw to. He's probably the best wide receiver in college football. And then having Carnell Tate as your wide receiver too, that's fantastic. I don't think you're going to find a better duo in the nation. I would expect Carnell Tate to play his way into being a first-round pick next spring. And you got Caleb Downs on the defense. I'm sure you got other guys who, personally, I can't name them, but they have a talented defense. Ohio State is a very talented team. I think their backups would probably be able to go 8-4. Say if they just all went to Purdue, they'd probably go 8-4 or something. It's a very talented team. I don't think anyone in the Big Ten compares to them, except maybe Oregon. But I think that they lost a bit more than Ohio State. So I'm going to comfortably put the Buckeyes at 1 in the Big Ten. Now, moving on to 2, I do have the Oregon Ducks. I am not that worried about them. I don't think they're going to be as good this year as they were last year. They did have some losses. And the loss at quarterback, I'm more worried about it for Oregon than I am for Ohio State. Because with Ohio State, they just lose Will Howard, who was good, but he wasn't great. For Oregon, they lost one of the best quarterbacks in college football, Dylan Gabriel. And they've been able to reload a quarterback the past couple of times. They had Bo Nix, they had Dylan Gabriel. It's been good. But now they go on to Dante Moore, who is a former 5-star recruit. He started at UCLA as a freshman, I believe, and it was rough. So from what we've seen so far, Dante Moore is not going to be that guy, but also he's got untapped potential, and he could come in and be better than Dylan Gabriel was. We don't really know what we're going to get, and it's hard to predict. There's really no way for us to predict it and know for sure. But I do believe in Dan Lanning. I believe in that coaching staff. I believe in the Oregon offense. I think that they're going to be fine. If the offensive line can hold up, because they did bring in some transfers there, if it holds up, the offense should be fine. They have Mekhi Hughes from Tulane. He transferred there, and he's going to be good in the running game. The defense still has some guys, like Bear Alexander specifically is very good. I'm not worried about Oregon. I'm not going to pick them to win the Big Ten probably, but do not be surprised if they are in the conversation all year. They're going to be one of the best teams in this conference, which then brings me to Penn State. The trendy pick now. I think the AP poll has them ranked number 2 in the nation. And I get it. They're bringing back Drew Aller, the most experienced quarterback in the Big Ten. Some people argue he's the best quarterback in the Big Ten. Maybe he is right now. I don't think that's going to be the case as the season progresses. I've never been that big of a Drew Aller guy. I don't think he's that good. I mean, he's good. He's good. He's just not elite. And that's about it. That's okay, because we've seen you can win with not elite quarterbacks, like last year, Ohio State, Will Howard was not elite. 2 years ago, J.J. McCarthy, sorry Michigan fans, he wasn't elite either. You were a run-first team. So Penn State, if they can kind of copy what Ohio State and Michigan did the past couple of years, then they have a legitimate shot to win it all. I don't believe, though. All right, I'm not in on this. We've not really seen James Franklin lead his team in the big games. They struggle against top 10 teams. And I'm not going to be the guy who predicts it. The rest of sports media can hype them up. I'm not going to do it. They got a good quarterback. They got a good running back. They should be good at most positions. But let's see if they can get over the hump, though. I suspect they're going to win at either Oregon or Ohio State this season, but they're ultimately going to choke in the playoffs, and that's just Penn State's story. But, if they're going to break through, this is the year they're going to do it. If it's not this year, I don't think they'll ever do it. Now, rounding out our contenders tier, because, I have more than 3 teams here. It's going to be 4 teams. I'm putting Michigan here. And this might be a little bit bold, but, I mean, come on. They were really good. Well, not really good. They were pretty good last year. They went 8-5. They finished the season beating Ohio State and Alabama back-to-back games. And they had a really good defense. I expect that to be the case once again. The real difference maker this year is they have a quarterback who can throw more than 5 yards. They got a quarterback who has heard of the forward pass, who is willing to actually throw the ball to a receiver. We've got Bryce Underwood coming in from Michigan, the number 1 recruit in the country, And I'm really excited to see what he can do with this offense. You can't really get worse than what Michigan had last year. I mean, they were doing their best imitation of the Iowa Hawkeyes, which Iowa's good, but they're not elite, and Michigan wants to be elite. I think Bryce Underwood's going to be able to do enough to get them probably to 10 wins, which puts them in the discussion for the Big Ten title game and a playoff spot. I think that we are probably going to see Michigan get to 10 wins and be in that discussion. It would not surprise me at all if they were able to win the conference. I would, if I had to pick somebody, it would be one of these 4 teams. I would be okay picking Michigan. I'm not going to, probably, but don't be too surprised if it happens. These are my 4 contenders in the Big Ten. These are the 4 teams I'm most likely to pick to win the conference or make the playoffs. Now we're going to go on to the pretty good tier. This is going to be a bit more full. The Big Ten has a lot of pretty good teams. I'm starting to think maybe they are a deeper conference than people give them credit for. Everyone talks about the SEC, and I'm a Georgia fan. I'm an SEC guy, so I've been inclined to say the SEC is the deepest conference. But as I did my research on this Big Ten conference, I think they might have a good argument here. And we're going to explore this further, starting with USC. I'm putting them at 5, ranked in the Big Ten. I think that they are a sneaky threat to make the playoffs this year. They're also a sneaky threat to go 6-6 and fire Lincoln Riley. This is kind of the make-or-break season for the Trojans and Lincoln Riley. So here's where I'm at with them. I think that he's got his quarterback. I think Jaden Mayava is going to be good in Lincoln Riley's offense. I think USC is going to be able to score this year. The problem is their defense. If they can't get it together on defense, then they're going 6-6, 7-5, something like that. It's going to be a lost season for the Trojans, and Lincoln Riley is on his way out. I'm guessing that's not going to be the case, though. I personally think USC wins 8 or 9 games, and they are in the playoff discussion for most of the year. I think they're going to improve on defense. I think that Lincoln Riley has made hires and moves to work toward that the past couple of off seasons. I think we're going to finally see some progress there. If not, though, it's the end of his time in USC, and Lincoln Riley will be done, and they'll reload. But I'm going to move on from USC now. I could be totally off about them. I don't want to spend too much time on the Trojans. But I'm going to move on to Indiana. Last year's surprise playoff team, or one of the surprise playoff teams. Indiana, I feel like, is being slept on this year, weirdly enough, despite going 11-1 in the regular season last year. And I think they actually got better this offseason. I think that they upgraded quarterback. They brought in Fernando Mendoza from Cal, and he was quietly pretty good for Cal. And I know that's weird because Cal was not a good team, but the quarterback was good, so do not be surprised if he comes in and produces at a higher level than their previous quarterback. And they've got weapons. They got Elijah Sarah at receiver. I hope I said his name correctly, but he's one of the best in the nation. And you should have some talent on defense and enough on offense for Indiana to still be good. I do expect some regression just because they have a tougher schedule and they don't have as much talent as the teams I've listed above them. But you can expect Indiana to still be a feisty threat and probably win around 8, 9, maybe 10 games. We'll see what happens. Next up, we have Nebraska. And Nebraska is tough to evaluate because it's Nebraska. The fans will tell you they're used to the disappointment. They seem to come up short whenever they have a chance to improve. But this is year 3 under Matt Rule. This is year 2 with Dylan Raiola, who is a highly ranked prospect. So you can expect him to take a step forward in his second year. You've got a ton of talent at Nebraska. There's not really any reason for them to not put it together and win some games this year. They have a very manageable schedule. They should be able to get to 8, 9, maybe 10 wins. They could be in the playoff discussion. I'm hesitant with them because it is Nebraska, and it's really hard to say that they're actually going to break through. There is a ton of optimism here, but you should be cautiously optimistic if you're a Nebraska fan because you should be prepared to go 6-6 again. But we'll see. Year 3 under Matt Rule is traditionally when his teams break through in college football. Maybe this is it for Nebraska. If not, then that sucks. I'm sorry, Nebraska fans. You don't deserve this. But coming in at number 8 in my rankings, I am going to go with Iowa. Iowa is a sneaky threat. They're always pretty good, so I don't feel like they're really a dark horse. But I do think that they have been improving on offense. I know last year, I think they averaged over 25 points a game, which is basically a new record for that team. But this year, they bring in a quarterback. I know that's a new term for Iowa fans. You have a quarterback. It's the guy who throws the ball. He leads your offense. So you brought in a quarterback, Mark Gronowski. He comes over from South Dakota State, which is, lower level FCS school, except they are one of the best at that level. So he's legit. He looks good. He had a pass recently. I don't want to say it went viral, but a lot of people saw it, and Iowa fans are all excited. I think you should be. That's what a completed pass looks like. Get used to it, because Mark Gronowski looks like he's going to be the real deal. If he is legit, and Iowa goes from scoring 20 points a game to 30 points a game, and you still have that stout defense that you always have, Iowa could be a threat to potentially make the playoffs. I mean, you go 10-2 in the Big Ten, you're probably making the playoffs. Personally, I'm thinking it'll be 8-4, 9-3, but Iowa is going to be in that discussion. There is a chance that they are good enough on offense this year that they are a real threat. So we'll see what happens there. I think they are a team you should watch out for just in case. We've always thought if Iowa just had an offense, they would be legit. But we'll see if this is the year. Now, number 9 in my Big Ten rankings, I've got Washington. Washington is pretty good. They've been reloading since their national championship game appearance. And this year they got a new quarterback. They got Demond Williams Jr., hopefully I said his name correctly, dual threat quarterback. This is year 2 with Jed Fish being the head coach, and he was the one who made Arizona relevant. So he's probably going to be able to help Washington out a good bit. You got Denzel Boston at wide receiver. He's one of the best receivers in the nation, or at least projected to be. And there's a lot to like about Washington's offense. I think they're going to be electric. My problem with them is the defense. I don't think they have enough on defense yet to really do a whole lot. I think the schedule is very manageable, so I do think they'll win around 8 or 9 games, and they're going to take a step forward. But yeah, I think they'll be pretty good. I just really can't see them truly contending for the Big Ten title, or even a playoff spot is hard to see, but it's possible. Now, number 10, and this is going to be surprising to a lot of people because they're this low, I got Illinois. So, for perspective, Illinois is ranked, I believe, number 12 in the AP rankings. Obviously, I disagree with that. I've got them ranked number 10 in the Big Ten rankings. So, I don't really have anything against Illinois. I'm not an Illinois hater. I'm just not in love with them like seemingly everyone in the media is. I would love to treat them as a dark horse, except they won 10 games last year. You can't win 10 games and be a dark horse. I mean, come on. Everyone should be able to see you coming. You are bringing back your quarterback, Luke Altmaier, and I don't think he was elite or anything. I think he was solid. I think he was good. That's it. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't really get the hype behind Illinois. I think they're going 7-5, 8-4, something like that. They're good. They're pretty good. That's about it. That's about all I can see with Illinois. I think they got a solid all-around team. I think ultimately they're not as talented as the teams I put above them. I do like what they are building there. It kind of reminds me of what Wisconsin was for a while, but I don't think they're as talented as those Wisconsin teams that were so run-heavy and solid on defense. Illinois is good. They're pretty good. That's about all I got for you. We'll see what they accomplish this year. I disrespected them last year and was wrong as they made their way to 10 wins. Maybe they'll do it again. Now I'm going to move along to my dark horses tier. First team I'm putting here, it's number 11. I've got Wisconsin. So Wisconsin is tricky for me. I think that they brought in a solid quarterback. I think they got Billy Edwards Jr. He transferred from Maryland, and he was solid for them. I think they got some good players on offense. They can be really solid. They can be run first. And the defense, I think they're also solid. I feel like Wisconsin is solid all around, and I feel like they've got the potential to be a really good team. I would have them in the pretty good tier if I felt there was more of a proven player anywhere. But the problem with Wisconsin, the biggest issue for them is going to be their schedule. There's a legitimate chance they go 4-8 this year and fire their coach and just reset everywhere, and that would suck because I don't think this is a 4-8 team. I think the schedule that they have dictates that, though, and there's a very real chance that this is going to be a team that is good, but it doesn't really show up in the results. And I feel bad for Badgers fans. That's going to be terrible. But then again, for all I know, you could upset Alabama early in the season. I'd be shocked, but, it's possible. Keep an eye on the Badgers. They've got talent. Just, I feel like this is going to be a team that goes probably 6-6, 7-5, but they're going to pull some upsets here and there, and they're just going to be pesky and annoying. Next up at 12, I'm going to put Rutgers here. Rutgers is a dark horse. They're not a team you're used to saying will be good in any way because they were terrible for so long, but they've been quietly solid for the past few years, and you love to see it. You love to see it. I hope Rutgers can keep it up, but I think that they're also slowly improving. I think that there's a chance that they are quite solid this year. They should be able to run the ball effectively. They bring back their quarterback, I believe, a very experienced veteran quarterback. He's good, not great, so the offense should be fine. And they bring back a lot of talent on defense. They're still improving. Rutgers is not, a flashy team. They're not a team that you're going to pick to do a ton, but I don't think you should write them off. I think you should remember that they exist. They may be a team you watch out for. They pull some upsets because they're gonna be stingy. They're gonna be tough to beat and put away. Maybe they make some noise. We'll see. Next up after Rutgers, I have Minnesota. Minnesota is just always there. They're always there. They're existing. They're solid. They're decent, close to mediocre, a little better than average. What more can you say about Minnesota? That's it. They're good. But I don't know that they're ever going to break through. But the reason I'm putting them in dark horses is I think they have quite the manageable schedule, and I would say that about Rutgers as well. These are teams I could see being this year's Indiana, where you would never expect them to win 10 games, but maybe the way the schedule plays out, maybe there's a chance that happens. Especially with Minnesota. I think there's a legitimate chance that they are solid enough that they can win around 10 games and be in the playoff picture. Problem is they don't bring back a veteran quarterback. I believe they're starting a freshman quarterback, which is always a risk. We'll see how that works for them. The defense, which was very solid last year, very, very good. It returns most of their starters, so that's going to be the strength for them, and they should be able to run the ball very well. So I could see them being really solid and just slowly making their way toward 10 wins. They could also go 6-6 again because they like to be hovering around 6-6, 7-5. We'll see what happens, but don't forget about Minnesota, and don't be surprised if they start off the season really hot. Finally, rounding out our dark horses tier, I'm putting UCLA here, and my whole reasoning for this is they have Nico Iamaleava. That's not how you say his name, but I'm calling him that because he left Tennessee. So Nico is a highly touted prospect. He was decent for Tennessee last year. I do think he held that offense back, but I do think he has so much potential that you have to remember UCLA has him, and you have to think there's always the chance that Nico is really good for them, and suddenly UCLA's offense is elite. You just have to remember that. I don't think their defense is going to be very good, though, so even if Nico breaks out and is an elite quarterback for them, they're probably going to have to bail out the defense a lot. So I have a hard time seeing UCLA do a ton this year, but I do think they're a team you have to keep an eye on, see how Nico plays for them. I could see them pulling an upset or two. They're a dark horse for sure. It all depends on Nico, though. If he's really good, the team can go far. All comes down to him. Now, in our Yikes tier, I don't think these 4 teams will surprise anyone, but first, I'm going to put Michigan State here. I don't really have a lot to say about them. I don't really like them. They could be fine. I just hope they make it to 6-6. I don't think they have the talent to do a whole lot. I'm not even picking them to make any upsets this year. I can't really see it. And then Maryland, I'm going to quickly move along to because I kind of view them similarly. They don't have a ton of talent. I believe they're going to start a freshman quarterback at some point. Maybe not immediately, but at some point. I don't see the offense doing a whole lot. Similar to Michigan State, I don't see the offense doing a lot. And I don't think the defense has very much talent. These two teams are very similar in that way. I think they're both going close to 6-6, but they're not going to be able to break through. Now, lastly, and I'm going to group these two together as well because I view them similarly. I have Northwestern and Purdue entering the Yikes tier. And I kind of rushed Michigan State and Maryland a little bit because I don't have a ton to add about them, which you can say it's ignorant on my part to not know a ton about the teams. But I tried looking into them. I just don't think there's a whole lot to say. You just shouldn't expect much from them. 6-6 at best, but probably going to fall short of that. Northwestern and Purdue, kind of similar in the sense that I don't have a lot to say about them. They're just not that good. Northwestern is bringing in Preston Stone. He transfers in from SMU. He lost his starting job last season. So that could be interesting. Maybe they have some play at quarterback. I'm not really sure. You should expect that. Although the thing about Northwestern is every now and then they are randomly good for no reason. But that I wouldn't expect that to happen this year, and they don't have the benefit of playing in a weak Big Ten division. Now that it's just one big conference, they have a very tough schedule. So I would expect Northwestern to be in for a rough season once again. But I do think they have more potential than Purdue, who I am putting at the bottom here. I don't really have any reason to believe that Purdue's rebuild is going to suddenly yield results in year 1 under Barry Odom, who I do think is going to do well at Purdue. I think he's going to be able to bring them back and make them watchable again. But for this season, I think Purdue is going to be the worst in the conference, and it is what it is. That's fine. Somebody's got to be the worst. Purdue is rebuilding. It's not really a big deal. If you're a fan of Purdue, don't worry about it. I'm sorry for you, but you're going to be in for a rough year, and sometimes that's just how that goes, right? You're in for a rough year, but you have a bright future to look forward to. Now, again, let me know what you think of my rankings. Tell me how I'm right. Tell me how I'm wrong. I'm here for it. I encourage it. I will reply. I'll defend my rankings. I'm open to learning more, though, because there could be some things that I missed. Again, I promise you, I tried to do some research. I tried to put together a respectable list. Let me know how I did. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. I'm going to get my ACC and Big 12 rankings out fairly soon before the season starts, and we're going to be covering college football throughout the year. So, thank you all so much. Have a good one.